On Friday, I gave you my predictions for the entire year of 2023. Today, I'm going to give you my predictions on California and what I see happening in the first quarter. We're going to go over those articles as well as what is going on with inflation. What was a typical average amount that renters paid last year? It's going to surprise you more than you ever would think. Guys, welcome to Real Estate Daily. My name is Troy, and every day we go over the latest news in real estate and the mortgage markets. Now, before we jump in, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. We're growing this channel. It's going to be fantastic. Cali, here we come. This is a CNN article, and it talks about here's what to expect of the housing market this year. Now, I wanted to break this down a lot more just for California. They're predicting a 10% drop in real estate values next year. Now, as we know, yesterday we went over in California that a third of all California properties are completely paid off, but that number is significantly higher nationwide. It's in early 40s. So we're seeing a lot of people who own their homes outright, and then a lot of people, which is the majority of whoever has mortgages left, they are in the 2s and 3%. So they're kind of fine. What we aren't seeing, though, is what we're doing with homes that hit the market. Now, we know right now here in California that there is an inventory shortage. There's just not enough homes for people that are looking for homes. And as I know, and I have a lot of clients as well, they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for that capitulation or that housing crash. Now, I've told them over and over, the only way you're going to see a significant reduction in values of homes or in homes for sale is if we see them hit the market. And how do we see it at the market? Well, the only way we're seeing that is if people want to move and that they can afford to move. If you have a loan right now at 2.5% that you got several years ago, well, yeah, you're sitting there salivating about how much equity you have. But what you aren't salivating about is the prospects of moving and where you're going to move. The only thing that makes sense is if you're putting down either a large deposit or you're buying the home outright. And this is the difference between California at 33% and other states that are in the mid 40s is because Californians took their equity and went over to Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Tennessee, Utah, Texas, Florida, and they bought homes with cash to have zero mortgage payment. And that's why you see California is one of the worst, the lowest in amount of properties that actually have no mortgage. Well, what do we expect here? Now, what is expected is that we're going to see a little bit of a bump in inventory. Last week, there was really nothing out there. It was the lowest week of all 2022. There were sales, people closed, but there just wasn't houses for sale. Now, we don't see a foreclosure market. Actually, foreclosures in Southern California are under 200. So we're not seeing inventory coming from a foreclosure market. And as I've predicted several times now over 2022, if we do see somewhat of a foreclosure market out there, then we're going to see the government come in and they're going to stall it out like they did 3-4 years ago when COVID hit. Now, I understand that at that moment, that meant something. But today, guess what? This is just to help people out, not because there was some type of, major issue in the world. With that being said, what do I see for the first quarter? I see interest rates kind of floating where they're at. I don't see a big jump. The next time the Fed meets will be on February 1st. There's a 25 basis point expectation that day. If it goes to 50 basis points, I think it's going to stun a lot of people, but mostly it'll stun the mortgage industry. The stock market and the mortgage industry right now don't even believe the Fed. The Fed came out with minutes saying that they plan to raise all year and they're not going to pivot. But the stock market continues to say, no, you are liars. We don't believe you. Now, of course, back in September of 2021, they said they weren't raising rates all of 2022. How much of a joke that was when they've raised rates about 4.5%. So they're going back to that key moment in September when Fed Chairman Powell said that out of his mouth, calling inflation transitory. Then we had Janet Yellen saying the same thing. We had the president say the same thing. How much wrong could they be? They're costing Americans so much money by raising rates. It doesn't make sense, and they're hurting industries. So if I were to come down to the first quarter, if we do see a 25 basis point raise, we won't see a big bump in interest rates. We're going to see, though, a bunch of buyers come into the market, and we're going to see if sellers are going to be a lot more, let's call it realistic. If you don't have a home that is updated or upgraded, then you're going to have your house sit. It's just that simple. No one's going to want to be at a 5.5 to 6.5 interest rate and buy a beat up home, because they're not going to have a ton of money sitting on the sidelines to fix that home up. And if they do on a falling market, that means I'm putting sweat equity, which is used to be called in the past. I'm putting sweat into it, but not seeing the equity out of it, at least not this year. So with that being said, I feel that the housing market's going to stall a little bit in the first quarter. We're going to see just things kind of just plateau and just be or a buyer seller's market right in between. That's my prediction. That's what I see for California. Next article. U.S. home searches spike on Zillow the Zillow of Asia. Guys, we're seeing that with different countries out there, including China, where the citizens feel that they're not getting fair treatment by the government, that they're coming to the United States because their money can go further out here. They see a land of opportunity. We know that in the last 10, 15 years, there's been an influx of Asian buyers into the housing market, and they've really propped it up. They've been a big part of propping up the values here in Southern California and on the West Coast. Some areas in the East Coast as well. But if this is going to happen, when China opens back up and everyone's going to pack their bags, take their money, their yuan, and move out of that country, where's a destination that typically number one destinations here in Southern California or in the West Coast. With that being said, we can see a buyer pool form in the first quarter of next year right here in Southern California. And with that being said, what is going to happen is that they can keep this market, Southern California market, steady. Now, certain areas in Southern California, like the major cities of San Diego and Los Angeles, San Francisco, they have been dumpster fires. The homeless is everywhere. The politicians are terrible. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't care what they're doing. They do most of the things for social reasons. They don't do it for the betterment of the city itself. With that being said, you're going to be in the suburbs. You're going to see it. Now, out here in Southern California, Fullerton, Irvine, they're fairly large Asian areas, Asian populated areas. We're going to see that like in Walnut, or there's just, we're going to continue to see those areas continue to flourish. The properties that hit the market, they look nice. They're going to sell. They're going to go over market. They're going to have multiple offers. That's what I see. And this is what this article today in CNBC housing section, that's what they say. All right. One of the bummers that we see here is most U.S. renters say annual bill climbed by more than $1,000. We keep seeing this over and over. We saw that the government, subdued the rents for so long, after, the virus in 2020. And since then, they're starting to release some of the areas where you could actually, now charge extra for rents. Before there was rent restrictions, or you couldn't touch the rents. With that being said, you see these huge jumps in it, and that's what Bloomberg is coming out with today. It doesn't make sense for us to know that rents are going up higher. Guys, if you're really looking for, getting out of that rental rat race, you need to have a plan. 2023, I know the beginning of the year, in the first few days or weeks, everyone has New Year's resolutions. Hey, I want to better my body. I'm going to go to the gym. But let's go over some of the other important things that you want to look at. How do I buy a house? What do I need? Do I need to work on my credit? Do I need to get my debt down? I have said it over and over and over. You're going to get crushed on consumer credit card debt. Your interest rate continues to go up. Okay, continues to go up. And if you have a 401k, it continues to go down, or some retirement funds that you're having some asset manager, financial advisor deal with you. He has no clue what to do in a down market. He only sits there and makes himself look good in an up market. Guys, I would definitely do a ton of research, and this is not financial advice. This is just in my opinion. Do the research, figure out where you feel the best place your money is going to be in 2023. I will tell you now that I think that the stock market is going to get crushed this year. Crushed meaning it's going to go down 20, 30, maybe 40% this year. All that 401k sitting all inside of those hedge funds or fund managers that are overseeing retirement funds, they are not going to do anything. They won't pivot. They're just looking to go and say, what's the least bad thing I can do with their money? That's what they're looking at. They're not going to look at gold, right? Or silver or precious metals. Precious metals, if you bought precious metals last year, you were up in 2022. If you bought precious metals in 2023, I know it's early, you're up, guys, you're up. Think about that. Do your own research, figure it out. If I'm a buyer, I'm looking at taking those funds and putting it as a down payment for my house. Do the right thing. The best investment is in yourself and not in some fund manager that doesn't give a beep about you or your money. If he F's it all up and he lost you 20 to 30%, you know how much money he made on you? A lot. He's taking your money on the way down every time. He doesn't do it for free. He just thanks you because he's going to go home and he has a job, whether he loses your money and gambles it away or not. All right, enough of that soapbox, conversation. Guys, if you like what you're hearing here, hit that like button. Do me a big favor. Boom, like it all day. All right. Let's see what interest rates did yesterday. Yes, we like conforming went down under 6.5. Very happy about that. It was kind of a stunning information because we did see it go up the day before about the same amount. We saw it because of what the Fed minutes are. But again, these mortgage markets don't believe the Fed. They keep thinking, you liar, liar, pants on fire. That's what they're thinking. And that's why we don't see these jump up. A 50% basis point raise in December, and we still haven't really even seen any kind of raise in the mortgage interest rate market. We're going to see at least a 25% in February. We're still not going to see it. The only way we're going to see it is if Powell comes out and just puts the gavel down and says, we are not pivoting this year. Now, we understand there's black swan events, other things that can go on. Unemployment rate, which I think is going downhill and it's picking up speed. Those be the things that will stop them for raising, but it's going to take a lot because this is not an election year for them to really pivot on a dime. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any comments, leave them below. I really would appreciate it. Otherwise, check out our other social media platforms with TikTok as well as Instagram and Facebook. And I will see you mañana.